Hey guys, Drew here. Welcome back to the channel, and I just want to give you my takeaways from the 2023 Power Host Summit. Maybe Power Hosts who weren't able to attend this year, or you're not quite at the Power Host level and didn't get an invite. I want to give you some updates on the company as far as the Turo business, their layout for the next year, and some big changes coming in 2024. Stay tuned. Let's talk about it. All right, guys, it is Wednesday, November 15th. I am AUS, Austin Airport, Austin, Texas, and we just finished the Power Host Summit. Yesterday was all day yesterday. The event actually started Monday evening, and at a mixer. It was just kind of a registration and so forth as far as that goes, and kind of a meet and greet of different people. It was very loud. It was kind of hard to have good conversations with people. The next day was much different, and the next day kicked it off with Andre, the CEO, really talking about the company. The first thing he spent time on was reminding us as hosts that, you know, he's a host as well, and he's got several vehicles on the platform. He has a Lucid Sapphire, I believe, and also his 911, his Porsche 2006 Porsche 911, is the longest tenured vehicle on the platform. 12 years, it's got 200 trips or so, and so the CEO of the company is a Power Host. But it was also a good reminder that a lot of, not just Andre, but a lot of the leadership of Turo as a company are involved in the business, hosting cars themselves, and or have been with the company a long time. Some of the senior leadership, 11, 12 years, and that was a really good, good feeling for me as a Power Host, that these are people that are invested in the company and are here for the long haul and not the short buck and so forth. So that was great. Then they went into talking about impressive growth of the Turo platform and the Turo company. 3.2 million active guests this last year, and Turo specifically talks about what they consider active guests, and that's a client that has used the service within the last 12 months. So that's pretty impressive. 3.2 million active guests. They stated they are in 188 countries and territories, which to me kind of blew my mind. Now, I'm not sure exactly what they consider a country and a territory. Does each individual state count as a territory, but they talked about going into Canada, also Australia soon, and they talked about purchasing the biggest car sharing platform in France. And so lots of growth as far as that goes, international growth. And Turo, they really wanted to emphasize that their goal is to be global across the world, kind of like you see Uber is. You can go to travel to different countries and use your same Uber app, and that's what they really want, and that's the growth that they're targeting. So they talked about a net promoter score of 79, which is how likely a user is to recommend the platform to a family member. And so 79, not sure what to compare it to, except Andre, of course, mentioned that the average car rental company has a net promoter score of 15, and so substantially better experience as far as that goes. And I'm not sure as far as how to compare that to other companies, but rental car companies don't have a great experience for that. So also 31% year-over-year growth of active users. That's a big positive. They had 6.2 million days booked in Q2 of this year, and that's an increase every quarter since Q4 of 2020. So then, if you remember that was the COVID bottom there where nobody was moving around. But since that time, every single quarter, active user growth and days booked has increased. Very impressive. Turo is the #1 car rental app on the marketplace in Apple and Google stores. They have a 41% of the market share, and their next nearest competitor, which is 3 times larger than their next nearest competitor, which is Hertz, at 15%. So as far as that goes, lots of good things as far as that goes in the company-wise. I also really had a good vibes from the CEO as far as in some of the questions and answer period where they were, he was getting grilled a little bit on different things, everything from, the review system and all of that, and to also when they're going to go IPO. And I really, really appreciated his perspective on the IPO. He obviously said there's certain things he can and can't say when it comes to that. But he did tell us that they have started the process since 2021, and if you followed this last year, Turo was planning on going IPO last year, and then the market kind of turned. And a few things that he mentioned as far as that goes is that that's definitely something they're pursuing and it's on their radar, but they're not going to just do it to do it. He said they've had 2 years now of profitability and full profitable years. And he also mentioned that they don't have to go IPO. Many companies, when they go IPO, they do it because they need the money, they need the investment money coming in because they're not trending or it's been more difficult for them to get capital other ways. And Andre mentioned that that's not the case with Turo. They don't need the money right this moment. Things are going well for the business. Things are going well for their revenue coming in, and they're going to go IPO when it's a good time to go IPO. He said possibly next year. Definitely not this year, possibly next year, depending on how the market changes and how interest rates and so forth change. And if there's an opportunity, that could be something in the future. He did not mention if Powerhouse will have access to any IPO shares or ability to buy in or anything like that. So, but overall, I thought that was a great perspective. It was good to know that the company, has that in mind, but they're not going to force it like we saw other companies get around and so forth. And the point was not the purpose of going IPO is to get their brand out there bigger and a positive representation. And if the stock goes IPOs and it just crashes, that's not a positive representation of the company, and it's not what we would want as well. So keep that in mind. Now, that brings us to our next point, our key priorities, Turo's key priorities of 2024. So it's fivefold, basically. Number one, and this will be the biggest change for 2024, is Turo is going 100% instant booking. Early 2024, all Turo trips are going to be instant booking. So if you're someone like myself, who most of my cars are not instant booking, again, I still use the Turo business kind of like a side hustle. I have a full-time job. So I can't always just stop whatever I'm doing to go prep a car as far as that goes. And so I'm going to have to make some changes on my end. But it's also going to affect those of you who do full-time instant booking. So those of you who like the instant booking and you feel like you're able to get a little bit more money because, you're available all the time and you're booking, your cars are ready at any time. As far as that goes, all of a sudden you're not exclusive anymore. Everybody's instant booking. So you'll have to think about that and kind of adjust it. I'll have to restructure how I do my business to make sure that the instant booking it works for me. And it's just gonna be a few more tweaks as far as on my end. So it's not the end of the world. But my main reason for not doing the instant booking is I never want to cancel trips once they're once you already have accepted a trip. And with instant booking, you're accepting everything. So you got to be a little bit more careful for how we do that. And along with instant booking, the CEO has confirmed that they will be restructuring the All-Star host and also the Power host system, because a lot of what we're rated on is how quickly we respond to the guests and accept the percentage of bookings that we accept and so forth. And so obviously it kind of throws off their algorithm for how to rate us. So he talked about that as well. So big change, 2024, everybody's doing instant booking as far as that goes. So keep that in mind. Next focus for Turo is stellar vehicle quality. So you're going to see a lot more. Turo is going to continue to put a lot of pressure on their hosts to elevate the quality of cars. So if you got a lot of older cars in the vehicle, you're going to have to be well up to speed with your quality control, checking tires, maintenance, all of that stuff, and there's going to be more and more pressure to do that, because at least in number 3, which is their they want consistent policy experiences. So just like McDonald's, when you get a Big Mac on the East Coast or a Big Mac on the West Coast, they are going to want a similar tasting Big Mac. And so Turo will never get to that point, because they're dealing with hundreds and thousands of different hosts. Each one does a little bit things a little bit different, a little bit different experience, but they want to try as much as possible to become a more consistent experience for the individual guests that are using the platform. So, and that means number 4 is avoiding surprises. So surprise fees, as far as that goes, they're tweaking their fee structure and so forth, and they're going to be really cracking down on hosts trying to do things outside of their structured fee system as far as that goes. And then number 5 is they are focusing on long duration trips. Turo has emphasized to us that they feel like they have enough data now to know which trips are profitable for the host and for Turo, and they're both usually the same types of trips. And obviously the very best trips are these long duration trips of 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks or longer, months at a time. And so they're really going to emphasize that more. And one of the things they're going to do is they're not going to make the for specific trips over 2 weeks at a time. They're already doing this where they're not making the client pay for the entire trip up front. And it'll be just a small deposit, and they can defer the rest of the cost of the trip. So this should incentivize more longer-term trips, which are very profitable for both of us. During the question and answer time, it did come up a lot about the trip fees, and there's a lot of ambiguity on how Turo does their trip fees. And so Andre really gave us a kind of a breakdown on how the system works. It is algorithm based, and so there is disparity between different guests as far as what the trip fees are. And his emphasis is that they feel like they have enough data now to know which trips are high risk and which trips are not. And so as far as trip fees can be as low as 10% on very low risk trips. I noticed this as a power host when I booked a car for the event here. I had a car for 3-4 days, and my trip fee was very, very low. I'm assuming close to that 10%. I didn't do the exact math, but that sounds about right. And I have probably 7 or 8 Turo trips in the past. They probably know that I'm a host and a power host and have a good track record, and so it's a very low risk. So my trip fee was very, very low. The trip fee can increase all the way from 10% all the way up to 100% on very, very high risk trips. And Turo said that there's very few percentage that are using that high of a trip, but it's basically their last resort before they decide not to even accept the trip. And he did mention that Turo blocks 30% of new guests trying to book a trip on the platform. So they are, sometimes we're not sure how, what they're doing as far as checking and filtering, new guests to the platform. But according to the CEO, over 30% of new clients trying to book a car, the trip gets rejected for different reasons, maybe a criminal record, they said they do, driving record, and so forth. And so that's good to hear that they are doing some type of a filtering system. Of course, we would always like a little bit better. But the future intent of the Turo as a company is to encourage and target profitable trips for Turo and for us. And they're also implying that into their marketing. So all the different areas where they're marketing, they talk about a whole different section of different places where they're doing advertising. They spend over $100 million in advertising, and you've probably seen them on different things, everything from digital media to Google to places like Hulu and different ads and so forth, and even on television. And they're targeting those ads to the right kind of guests in their data, and to where they're bringing higher quality. They're attempting to bring higher quality clients to the platform, to the business, that are going to be profitable for Turo as a company, but also as for the host. So those are all good things. As far as the rest of the event, not a lot of like breaking news there. Some things that we mentioned, but it was just good to get around. They had about 600 or so power hosts there, and was a pretty large group, a large crowd. There is around 9,000 power hosts nationwide, so it was still less than 10% of the power hosts. But obviously, being only a certain amount, you got a lot of power hosts in Hawaii and even around the world. It would be very difficult to get to Texas, which I can understand that. But it was just great to be around some different guests. Obviously, we got to spend a lot of time with Joe and James, and also we got to meet Audrey and HP on their channel, and a lot of the other different hosts, people that we've chatted in Facebook groups and so forth. Of course, Alvin down in Florida. We got to get to talk with him quite a bit, talk about what he's doing down there, up to 200 cars down in Florida. Need to see his journey. Just a lot of hosts. I think of Ryan way out in Arizona. Really was an inspiration to me when he posted his first story about his blue Dodge Viper, and how that kind of inspired me when I was a new Turo host. A lot of people that I had met, chat with, met virtually online, and now we got to meet in person and kind of chat and spend some time eating a couple meals, drinks, and so forth. So it was a lot of time. I would really encourage any power host in the future, if you can, make it out to the event. This was by far the largest they've done. They've done 4 or 5 events. This is the largest one that they've done, and it's definitely worth the trip. Turo pays for your food and all the event itself. Of course, you got to pay for your flight and your hotel, but it's worth it. As far as that goes, I would highly recommend it, and you get to meet a lot of good people. They did have a lot of vendors there, everything from finance vendors. One company that I thought was very interesting was Westlake Fleet. They do financing, where a big issue we have as hosts is, where can we get more capital to buy more cars? And Westlake Fleet has a great financing program. And so they had some different there. Obviously, insurance people there, Lula, ABI, and so forth. A bunch of different vendors and so forth there. And that was neat to meet all those. But mostly it was spending a time. There's not a lot of places you can go and just talk to anybody in the room about Turo that's going to connect with you. And this was the place to do it. So a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And hopefully this could give you a little bit of insight of what the event was like and some little tidbits about the thing. So thanks again, guys. And we'll see you next time.